Welcome back, everybody, to the Niele podcast. I'm Shania.
And I'm Ray-Ray.
And this right here is my baby. Her name is Zaya. I don't know if you guys can see her. This is my puppy.
She's getting perfectly covered by the candy
A
bowl.
blue-nosed pit bull. And she's joining us today.
She got macapillas.
And also, happy Thanksgiving.
Before we get into our first two topics, we kind of just wanted to talk about our first two guest episodes.
Our first one, for those of you that did watch it, or well, didn't watch it, was our Uncle Ren's, and then our second one was Uncle Prince.
Yeah. And those two episodes were probably some of the hardest to edit. But I honestly thought it turned out better than than we hoped.
Yeah.
Like, the technical difficulties is a little bit crazy.
Out of the world.
A little bit crazy.
We're getting into the swing of things. As we progress, it will get better.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate your patience. We appreciate your understanding. And we're so grateful for all of the support that you guys have shown us. We're just grateful for those of you that take the time out of your guys' day to support us, watch our videos, and
give it a like, subscribe, comment. We're really grateful. We're happy that you guys like it too. So
we are just gonna have some solo episodes intertwined in the interviews with the Tupe brothers. Just so you guys are aware, so you guys aren't bummed out or whatever, because you guys just want to see all of them at one time.
Yeah.
Since it is the holiday season, we will have our holiday episodes like this one. We talk about what we're going to be talking about.
Also, a thing that we are not going to do right now, but we will do eventually, is put it up on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Mm-hmm. Right now, since we're so new, since it's so just up and coming,
it's just, if we try to do all of that, it's just putting a lot more time that we don't have at the moment into what we have to do to get to that point.
Yeah. So we're going to focus our efforts on Instagram, Facebook, possibly TikTok. We haven't uploaded a TikTok in a while. But we will get on that. We will get on that.
And YouTube.
Yeah.
So where you're gonna get it is YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah. On Instagram, we have posts of every episode that we do, and giving you guys sneak peeks or pictures and
that you can use to follow along as it's going. So next week, I know in Uncle Prince's video it said this week was gonna be Uncle Misi, but it's actually gonna be next week.
Yay! So glad you tuned in for him and stayed for us.
We have two topics for you today. Our first topic, we're going to be talking about things we're grateful for since it's Thanksgiving. The first thing I'm grateful for is Logan. That's where I currently live, in Logan, Utah. It is so beautiful. It is so cold. And there's nobody out there. I think there's more cows than there is people. I love everything about it. My husband is currently hunting, and that's crazy. That's totally Logan. Anyways. But yeah.
My first thing that I'm grateful for is a vehicle that gets me everywhere I need to go. Because I be needing to go places.
She's booked and busy.
I'm just kidding. No, I just am grateful that I am in the warmth of a car, especially now that it's getting colder outside.
The second thing I'm grateful for is the pain of braces, because that means that my teeth are getting straight and it's working. Even though it's pain and I can't eat anything.
Pain is beauty.
Pain is beauty, and my teeth are going to be beautiful. Mark my words.
Second thing I'm grateful for is my puppy that you guys met at the beginning of the episode. She is my little bestie. She has a lot of energy, so when I'm in a bad mood, it's nice to just give her loving.
The third thing that I'm grateful for is my husband. He's so loving when I'm a brat and stressed out, like all the time. He just loves me so much.
The third thing I'm grateful for is a home. We're currently purchasing our home, and I'm glad that we have enough space to have like people over when we want to. I'm glad that we have running water, that we are able to have food in our fridge and in our stomachs, and just the feeling of home, somewhere that you can always go when to like decompress.
Second to last thing that I'm grateful for is kanaka-owned businesses. So Kanaka is like Hawaiian people. I'm going to put some links down below to my favorite ones. But this shirt that I'm wearing that says Leave Hawaii for Hawaiians is from Moonkind Tings. I also listen to her podcast, which is really good. I don't know if she's actually making these currently or anymore, but I believe this wholeheartedly. And then these, I got it from Pu'ukohala, the heiau on the Big Island. They have like a little store over there because it's like a national site or whatever. And yeah, I'll link some down below to my favorite ones.
Hell yeah. The fourth thing that I'm grateful for is my boyfriend, the person that I go to for everything, like my best friend. Have had each other for 5, almost 6 years now. It's just, I'm grateful to have somebody that understands me, always knows like when I need something and is willing to help me, and vice versa.
And the last thing that we're both grateful for is the fact that we're Hawaiians. My mom is Hawaiian, and yeah, and so is hers.
Yeah.
Her mom is Hawaiian.
I was going to say that, and it just like spaced my brain. So thank you. Yes, my mom is also Hawaiian.
Although my mom is the Hawaiian one, my dad actually dances like hula, and
he's very like ingrained,
yeah,
like in the Hawaiian culture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot of Hawaiian culture from my dad, and he's full-blooded Samoan. So. On November 28th, it's actually Hawaiian Independence Day, La Ku'oko'a. For those of you that don't know, Hawaii was an independent nation. It still technically is, but it is under the illegal occupation of the United States. We will cover that in another episode, but this episode is going to be about La Ku'oko'a. That's our second topic. So, La Ku'oko'a is the day that Great Britain and France formally recognized Hawaii as a sovereign nation. And fun fact, Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands, were the first ever Polynesian nation to be recognized as an independent sovereign state.
Not a lot of people know about this holiday.
Hawaii is like an independent sovereign nation. And this is how it came, like, this is how it happened. We're just gonna kind of go into
give the backstory,
yeah,
about how it happened, why it happened.
So in 1842, King Kamehameha III, also his name is also Kauikeaoli, wanted to secure the position of the Hawaiian Kingdom as a recognized independent state under international law. So in order to do that, he needed recognition from the top 3 naval powers of that time, which was Great Britain, which was the top number 1, like they had the number 1 naval fleet in the Pacific at that time, and France and the United States. So in 1842, he sent Timoteo Ha'alilio and William Richards on an envoy. And what an envoy is like a diplomatic mission. So they were sent to those 3 countries. They were pretty much sent there to talk to those nations and be like, hey, we'd like to be recognized as an independent state. And at that time, Hawaii was under the protection of Great Britain from King Kamehameha I. He seceded to Great Britain in order to gain their protection because of the position that Hawaii is in the Pacific. It's like the number 1 place for naval trade or like just trade in general. So he asked for their protection. So while Hau'oli and Richards were on their voyage, they went to the United States first, through Mexico, which is crazy. They went through Mexico on donkeys from Mexico to Louisiana, and then sailed from Louisiana to Washington, D.C. I really don't know how they sailed there from Louisiana. I'm guessing the Mississippi River. I'm just gonna guess. I don't know for sure, like, what is between there, or if they sailed like this, like from Louisiana, like out this way, or if they went straight. Don't know. Look that up yourself if you really want to know.
We're gonna have some links in the description for those of you that want to do more deep dives into
which you should.
More of this.
I think everybody should like know about history. I feel like it's a really integral part of moving forward in life. So anyways, they get to Washington, D.C. and they talk to the Secretary of State. And then the Secretary of State issues a statement that pretty much says President Tyler it was President Tyler at the time. He's willing to recognize Hawaii as an independent nation so long as
everybody else does.
The other two do, France and Great Britain. So Hau'oli and Richard hop on a boat and they go to Great Britain. Crazy fact that Misha and I just learned. When they were going to Great Britain, they were in the United States on the boat. They were ready to eat dinner, and one of the shipmates goes up to Richards. Richards is a white man. Like, Hau'oli is obviously Hawaiian. He's like full Hawaiian. He like hardly speaks English. Richards is pretty much there as like his interpreter. So the shipmate goes over to Richards and was like, I have 2 meal tickets, one for you and one for your servant. And he's like, whoa, no, he's not a servant.
Yeah.
He's literally like a diplomat of Hawaii. So the shipmate says that he knows how to distinguish white from black, quote unquote. And Hau'oli was dark skinned. And so he had to eat at the table with the servants of that ship. And Richard was like, I'm not going to leave my companion. So him and Hau'oli ate with the servants because Hau'oli was brown.
Crazy.
Racist. Crazy. That is so racist. But anyways, back to it. So they go to Great Britain and they meet up with Sir George Simpson. And they're in talks about like how they can get this statement from Great Britain and France. And those 3 go to France, talk to a guy in France, and then they go back to Great Britain. And all while this is happening in Hawaii, in February of 1843, so they leave on their voyage in 1842, like in July. And February of that next year, Lord Paulette seizes control of the Hawaiian government because he was getting complaints from this guy, a British consul. His name's not important because he's lame. And he was complaining for nothing. And so Kamehameha III temporarily yielded Hawaii to Lord Paulette. And Lord Paulette was a British naval officer. So he temporarily yielded the Hawaiian government to him with the condition that when Hau'oli and Richard get the
statement,
like, then they're independent, then they're sovereign, then it's the Hawaiian government. So they are occupying Hawaii for 5 months until July 31st, 1843, when Admiral Richard Thomas hears about it, comes to Hawaii, talks to King Kamehameha III, and pretty much is like, that's hogwash. What you guys overthrew them for. It's what is the word that they use in here? It doesn't warrant a takeover. Pretty much is what he said. And this all happens during like a grand ceremony, and this is where King Kamehameha III, Kaukeoli, issues the statement Ua Maokea o Ka'aina I Kapono, which means the life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. And that is Hawaii's motto to this day. Then Ha'alilio and Richard are up in Great Britain. They get them to officially say at the Court of London, it's called the Anglo-French Proclamation, and it recognizes Hawaii's sovereignty. And then a year later, the United States does as well. And what the United States says is kind of crazy because of what happens about 50 years later. Actually, this is what the Secretary of State said on December 19th, 1842. So he says, quote, "The U.S., therefore, are more interested in the fate of the islands and their government than any other nation can be. And this consideration induces the President to be quite willing to declare, as the sense of the government of the United States, that this government of the Sandwich Islands," which is the Hawaiian nation, "ought to be respected, that no power ought either take possession of the islands as conquest or for the purpose of colonization, and that no power out to seek for any undue control over existing government or any exclusive privileges or preferences in matters of commerce." So that's pretty interesting that they say all that in 1842. And then on July 6th, 1844, by a letter of Secretary of State John C. Calhoun, the United States follows suit. And then about 50 years later, in 1893,
93.
Hawaii is overthrown. The government is overthrown. So for 50 years, Hawaii was a sovereign nation until the United States illegally overthrew. But yeah, that's La Ku'oko'a. And it was almost forgotten, honestly, like before the resurgence of like Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian people, like in the last like 20, 30 years. Like without that, it would have been completely forgotten. The resurgence of Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian language, like people are like, I like to say people are being ku'e, like they're being really like vigilant and trying to get Hawaii back to where it was before, where we were living off the land, living Hawaiian standards and culture, like completely immersed in the culture. In conclusion, for me, I'm celebrating La Ku'oko'a I'll celebrate it on Thanksgiving. I'm going to celebrate that on Thanksgiving and on November 28th.
So after Ha'alilio got the first proclamation, he traveled back to the United States, and this is in 1844. So it's like a year has gone by since he's been on this journey. And then he was in Massachusetts, and he got diagnosed with a serious illness, which they believe to be tuberculosis. So on his journey back to Hawaii, he actually sadly passed away before he could make it back to Hawaii.
Yeah, the doctors told him to stay in Massachusetts, but he had already been away from his home for so long that he was like, no, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go back home. And a week after leaving Massachusetts, on December 3rd, 1844, he drew his last breath.
So he dedicated his last year of his life for the independence of Hawaii.
And then another thing about Ha'alilio is that he didn't even want to go at first. Like, he pretty much told
the king, he said, please don't make me do that.
please don't ask this of me. Like, ask me anything. I'll do anything for you. Not this. And then Hau'oli says, there's no one I trust more with the welfare of our country than you. And then he's like, I
guess I'll go.
And that's just like, that just shows you like the state that they were in at that time. People were doing things and dying for their country, dying for like something that they believe so strongly in. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's really like amazing, an amazing feat.
It's an honorable thing.
A lot of people didn't know about Hau'oli's life, but he was like a true hero, like to Hawaii at that time and even now. And
like he's the reason that we got our independence. Like, yeah. His story is important.
Yeah. I think a lot of people like I think we should all take time and just read, like do some research about his life and learn more about him and share his memory with others because he died for something that he loved.
But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in for this week's episode and being interested in learning a little bit more about mine and Ray-Ray's culture. Next week, we will have Uncle Misi's.
The long-awaited.
The long-awaited for some of you. Not me. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow.
Just
hot take. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. We hope that what you take away from this, you teach somebody in your life. Like,
you just pass along the info.
Yeah, because for us Hawaiians, this is a really important day. And don't forget, it's on November 28th.
Thank you. We'll see you guys next week.